Feel the cold air pressing against your skin as you sit in this silent room. You believe the walls around you are solid and final. Every morning you wake up to the same furniture and the same routine. You call this reality, but it is merely the limit of your current perception. Your eyes are scanning for truth while your mind is locked in a cage. There is a persistent weight in your chest that you have labeled as stress, but it is actually a signal from a soul that no longer fits its skin. You look at your hands and see flesh, but the electricity is changing. You wait for a grand sign in the sky to change your destiny. Stop waiting for a rescue mission that was never authorized. You are the architect of the very hologram you claim to be trapped in. Matter is not solid. It is a frequency-based suggestion you have accepted. Why do you still ask for permission to change a movie you are filming? Most of your life is a reaction to shadows you believe are real. You spend your energy fixing the screen instead of changing the projector. Look at the objects in your room. They only exist because you recognize their purpose. Your recognition is the glue that holds this density in place for you. This isn't a theory. It is the fundamental law of your existence. You feel tired because you are fighting a world that doesn't exist out there. Every worry you carry is a vote for a reality you claim to hate. You believe you are a guest on Earth, but you are the host. The tragedy is searching for an exit in a room you designed. Your nervous system is an antenna currently tuned to the frequency of static. You listen to the news to find safety, but news is the vibration of dread. There is no external solar flash that will fix an unconscious mind. Coherence is not a gift. It is a decision you make in every second. You look in the mirror and see a body, missing the radiant circuitry. Your DNA is a library of light currently gathering dust on the shelves. It activates only when your vibration matches the frequency of the codes. You say you want abundance while counting your lack with precision. The universe does not hear your words. It only feels your resonance. If you feel lack is familiar, the field will faithfully provide more. It is not a punishment, but a perfect mathematical reflection of your state. You are the variables in an equation that is already reaching a result. Stop scanning the horizon for ships that are already inside your marrow. The divergence is surgical, separating those who create from those who react. You cannot cross the bridge if you are still carrying the old rubble. Your past is a fossilized thought that you refuse to let go of. It is a heavy gray coat you wear even in the heat of the sun. The veils are thinning so fast they are effectively gone for some. But for most, the veil is the habit of believing what they see. True vision starts when you close your eyes to the theater of survival. You have been playing a secondary character in your own masterpiece. It is time to reclaim the seat of the director. Every thought of fear is a leash you place on your own spirit. You think you are protecting yourself, but you are just limiting your light. Notice the tingling in your fingertips right now. That is the bioelectric pulse of a reality waiting for your command. You are currently succeeding at manifesting a life you claim to despise. This is the greatest success of a misguided focus. You look at your bank account and call it a fact. It is not a fact. It is a readout of a previous frequency. Change the broadcast, and the readout will eventually follow the truth. Most of you are waiting for a savior to do the work you came for. There is no one coming to save you from your own creative power. Sovereignty is the recognition that the Creator is staring back in the mirror. Why do you petition a remote power for what is already in your blood? The mind loves the climb, because it fears the stillness of the peak. In the peak, you have no more excuses left to hide your brilliance. The divergence is accelerating, and the middle ground is dissolving. You can no longer drift in the half-light of indecision. Either you are the master, or you are the piece being moved. The solar flash is an inner explosion that reveals your favorite lies. It burns away the need for validation and the addiction to drama. You feel a strange longing for a home you cannot find on a map. That longing is the homing signal of a frequency you have forgotten. This isn't about leaving Earth. It is about bringing the stars here. Presence is the only currency that matters in this corridor. But you spend it on the debris of a world that is already dead. You nourish your spirit with the gray hues of a prison broadcast. Then you wonder why the gold of your potential feels so far away. Stop and feel the vastness of your spirit within this small body. They are one and the same, separated only by the density of belief. The transition is happening now, and it is exposing your victimhood. You are the architect, yet you live like a prisoner. And the sharpest distortion is that you are already filtering these very words through the same fear that built your current cage. What you perceive as an external event is actually a specific arrangement of your own attention. The mind projects a world of solid obstacles to justify its need for survival. This isn't a mystery occurring in the sky. It is a bioelectric feedback loop. Your consciousness is the projector, and the world is the screen you see. Without recognizing this internal mechanics, you will continue to chase shadows. True change starts when you realize the out there is a reflection. You have probably felt it. That quiet, persistent weight in your chest that whispers the world is not quite what it seems. It is not anxiety or a failure of your mind. It is a direct signal that your soul knows a truth your mind hasn't identified yet. There is a specific game being played in layers the average person will never perceive or understand. This game involves your frequency, your internal focus, and the role you were designed to fulfill in this transition. If you have felt that strange longing, or the silent certainty that there is more, you are not a mere observer. You are a central participant in a reorganization of reality. Because of this, I have prepared a dedicated digital book for you to download, The Arcturian Quantum Portal Mystery, Activating the Hidden Powers of Your Soul. This material is not just content, it is a structural map for the internal architecture of your awakening. It reveals the internal rules they never told you and what entities have revealed about our current timeline. I prepared this specifically for those who are ready to go far beyond the ordinary answers that society offers. You can find the access link in the first pinned comment below this video. I must warn you, this type of insight rarely stays available for long. What is written in these pages challenges the narratives that many powerful interests want to keep intact at any cost. There have been attempts to silence this specific knowledge before. Do not wait for a perfect time. The moment is now because you did not reach this text by accident. Download it now, read with an open spirit. And if your inner truth recognizes these codes, leave a comment with one word: awake. This is the signature of a consciousness that was ready before the mind even noticed the shift. The recognition you feel in this second is the beginning of the end for the old manager of your mind. You have accepted the signal, but now we must address why the walls still feel so solid. Most of you believe that spiritual growth is a series of grand events and mystical visions. But the real conflict is happening in the mundane minutes of your afternoon. You are currently being managed by a part of yourself that thrives on the frequency of danger. This internal manager calls itself prudence or care, but it is actually a mechanism of total control. It keeps your field tight, restricted, and always scanning for the next catastrophe. Notice how you hold your phone when a notification arrives. Your heart rate spikes, your shoulders tighten, and your breath becomes shallow. You call this staying informed, but your biology interprets it as a survival emergency. Every time you scroll through the wreckage of the world, you are feeding the very beast you claim to fight. Your attention is the currency of the hologram, and you are currently overspending on shadows. Look at the way you talk about your problems to anyone who will listen. You think you are processing, but you are actually reciting the incantations that keep the problem alive. This is the unseen sabotage, the habit of defining yourself by what you have not yet achieved. Feel the pressure in your temples right now. That is the mind trying to compute a multidimensional truth with a three-dimensional calculator. It cannot be done. You must drop from the head into the quiet space behind your ribcage. If this frequency appeared for you, it is because the internal architecture of your life has already started to shift. You are not here by accident. You are here because the signal of your soul became louder than the noise. But the ego is clever. It will try to make this transmission feel like just another video. It wants you to catalog this truth as information, rather than allowing it to reorganize your blood. The manager in your mind argues that if you stop worrying, everything will fall apart. It presents anxiety as a necessary sacrifice for your safety and your future. But frequency does not respond to effort. It responds to the uncontradicted state of your being. When you care from a place of lack, you are merely broadcasting more of the same hollow resonance. Control is the anesthesia of the fearful mind. It is the belief that if you grip the steering wheel hard enough, you can stop the car from crashing. But in the quantum field, the harder you grip, the more static you create in the signal. This hidden friction is the primary reason your manifestations feel like they are stuck in mud. You are pushing the gas with your desire while holding the brake with your familiar identity. You are addicted to the struggler version of yourself because it is the only one you truly know. To inhabit the master, you must be willing to let the one who worries die of neglect. This is not a comfortable process. It is a surgical removal of the old human software. Stop identifying with the voice that counts the coins and predicts the rain. There is a structural logic behind this resistance that we have mapped out for those ready to see it. This path goes much deeper than these words, into a blueprint that finally ends the cycle of self-denial. Pause. Listen to the hum of the room. The manager is whispering right now that you have heard all this before. It wants you to feel bored, so you return to the safety of your predictable suffering. Boredom is the ego's shield against a truth that would otherwise dissolve its entire world. You are not bored. You are terrified of the silence that follows the end of the drama. If you were truly at peace, you would not need to keep explaining your life to yourself. Notice the coolness in your palms. This is the energy that should be creating worlds, but it is currently frozen in a defensive posture. You think you are protecting your heart, but you have only built a wall that keeps the light out. The tragedy is that you have become the prison guard of your own infinite potential. Stop. Breathe. Feel the weight of the story you are telling. Is it a story of arrival, or a story of endless, exhausting preparation? The manager loves preparation because it delays the moment of actual choice. It wants you to be a student of the light forever, so you never have to be the light. But the 2026 threshold does not recognize students. It only recognizes those who have ceded their own authority. Look at the micro behaviors you perform when no one is watching. How do you drink your water? How do you walk across a room? Are you moving as a master of your domain, or as a guest afraid of breaking the furniture? These tiny moments are the real builders of your holographic reality. Every time you act from a place of almost, you confirm the frequency of not yet. You are waiting for a permission slip that was signed the moment you were born. The system of control relies on your belief that you are incomplete. If you recognize your wholeness, the entire matrix of lack becomes irrelevant to your experience. The next layer of this transmission is even more direct, stripping away the final layers of your borrowed personality. We are moving toward the root of the I am, where the hologram can no longer lie to you. There is a specific structure to this awakening that will reveal your true authority very soon. For now, simply observe the manager as it tries to reclaim your focus. The silence is coming for the stories you told yourself to feel safe in the dark. Your identity is about to undergo a reorganization that makes your current worries look like ancient dust. Do not look back at the versions of you that survived on crumbs. You are being called to the feast of your own sovereignty. The door is not locked. Your hand is just too busy holding on to the past to turn the handle. Let the rubble fall. The architect is waking up within the ruins of the manager's empire. This is the moment where you stop being the effect and start being the cause. The frequency of the master is silent, stable, and completely unbothered by the noise of the screen. Are you ready to see who you are when the drama finally stops? The divergence is here, and it is asking for your primary resonance. The divergence is now moving through the very root of who you believe yourself to be. Identity is not a list of your achievements or the labels society has forced upon you. It is simply the vibrational floor upon which you walk every single day of your life. Think of the way you expect your morning coffee to taste or the cold air to feel. This expectation is a silent vote for the continuation of your current holographic reality and your limits. You say you want abundance, but your identity is currently a master of managing a state of lack. You have become so skilled at being the person who survives that you fear the person who thrives. There is a deep, hidden comfort in the problems you already know how to solve every single morning. Your system seeks coherence above all else, even if that coherence means staying in a state of pain. If you change your thoughts but keep your old reactions, the field sees only the old version. Notice how your body tightens when you imagine a reality that is far beyond your current reach. That tightness is the hidden fence of your current identity, the boundary that keeps the infinite at bay. Wanting is an act of separation. It is a declaration that you do not have the object yet. To recognize something as possible for yourself is to collapse the distance between a desire and a fact. You do not wish for the gravity that holds you. You simply recognize its presence as natural. Your identity is the collection of things you no longer have to think about to experience in reality. When a crisis hits, your automatic response is the true map of your internal and secret home. If your first reflex is worry, then worry is the frequency you have called your name for years. You are currently succeeding at being the person who has the exact life you see around you now. The universe is a perfect mirror, and it will never give you what you want, only what you are. If you arrived at this point in the transmission, it means your old identity is already dissolving. You feel a strange lightness in your chest, a quiet realization that the old stories are finally hollow. But the mind will try to pull you back into the heavy gray hues of the familiar world. It will tell you that the new light is too bright, too uncertain, or simply too good. This is why you must understand that the shift requires more than a simple mental agreement or feeling. There is a structural logic to your true self that goes beyond the noise of daily survival rituals. Most of you have reached the limits of what a single video can provide for your total reorganization. To truly seat this new frequency and dismantle the old manager, you need the complete internal architecture. I have organized the total structure of this awakening into a dedicated material that I invite you to download. This work was prepared specifically for the soul who is ready to finally cross the threshold. The Arcturian Quantum Portal Mystery, activating the hidden powers of your soul. This digital book is not a collection of theories, but a precise guide to the portals within your consciousness. Without the full structure, your mind will likely return to its automatic reactions once the collective noise grows. This material provides the internal protocols to ensure your identity remains stable even as the old matrix collapses. You can find the link to access this guide in the first pinned comment below this video. The window for this specific alignment is rare, and the cost of delay is a return to sleep. Read it with the authority of the being you are becoming, and let the truth rewrite your blood. If your inner presence recognizes the light within those pages, leave a comment with the word Desperto. This is the moment where the training ends and the actual embodiment of your divinity truly begins. Now, feel the space between your breaths, the silent expansion where no human labels can ever exist. In that stillness, the old you has already vanished, replaced by a radiant, unmoved and silent presence. Manifestation is not an event that happens in the future, it is a byproduct of this internal presence. You are not attracting a new life, you are allowing a new identity to project its own world. Stop asking for permission to be the one who has already arrived at the final and intended destination. Your worthiness was never in question. It was your familiarity with the shadows that held you back. Walk across your room as if you are the one who designed the very atoms of the floor. This is the shift from being a reactor to being the source of the entire holographic display. The old manager is lost because it has no script for a being who is truly at peace. You are rewriting the laws of your existence with every breath of uncontradicted and stable awareness. Let the old rubble of how and when fade into the dust of a dying and gray timeline. You are the portal, and the destination is currently taking shape within your own heart and marrow. Look at your reflection and see the light that was never bound by your small human history. Every cell in your body is a star that has forgotten its own brilliance for a brief while. The reorganization of your identity is the only real work you came here to finish in this life. When your internal home is fixed in the frequency of unity, the world will mirror that state. No external political shift or solar event can do for you what your own stillness can do. You are the variable that determines the outcome of every interaction you have with the field today. If you feel a sense of relief right now, it is because your soul recognizes its home. The old stories of lack were just characters you played in a movie that has already ended. Stop trying to find meaning in the wreckage and start projecting the new and golden dawn. Your identity is the set of possibilities you are willing to accept as your daily and normal state. If you accept peace as normal, the chaos of the world will no longer have a hook. If you accept abundance as normal, the logic of the old economy becomes irrelevant to your experience. This is the cold, logical result of a mind that has stopped fighting its own divinity. You have been looking for a door while standing in the middle of a vast open field. The only thing keeping you in the cage was the belief that the bars were solid facts. But the bars are just frequency-based suggestions that you are now choosing to ignore with your presence. Feel the warmth in your solar plexus as the old survival scripts are deleted from your system. You do not need to fight the old manager. You simply need to stop attending its daily meetings. The silence of your presence is the most powerful weapon you possess in this current transition. It disarms the systems of control and reveals the hollow nature of the theater around you now. You are the bridge, but you are also the shore that has always been waiting for you. The divergence is separating those who need a story from those who are the sovereign source. If you can stay still while the old world collapses, you have already won the final game. Your stability is the foundation for the new grid that is currently forming under your very feet. Do not look for confirmation from those who are still committed to their own deep sleep. Their doubt is just an echo of a paradigm that no longer has a seat at your table. You are becoming unrecognizable to the systems of fear and exploitation that run the old world. This quality is your protection, a signature of a frequency that can no longer be harvested. Inhabit your skin with the confidence of a God who has returned to the physical plane. Every micro-choice you make today is a brick in the foundation of your new and bright reality. Choose the stillness over the reaction every single time you feel the pull of the old self. This is how you train your nervous system to handle the high-voltage light of your soul. The mind will complain that this path is lonely or that it lacks the old familiar excitement. But the excitement of the old world was just a mask for a deep and constant anxiety. The peace of the new world is a silent fire that burns without needing any external fuel. You are self-sustaining, a source of light that no longer needs to hunt for shadows in the dark. Look at your life not for what is missing, but for what is currently being reorganized now. The gaps in your current experience are just the spaces where the new light is entering. Do not try to fill them with the old rubble. Let them remain open for the infinite. This level of refinement is precisely why most will turn away from this specific account today. You are the architect, and the blueprints are now being written in the marrow of your bones. This is the synthesis of everything you have learned through eons of wandering in the dark. You have returned to the 0 point where all creation is instant and effortless for the master. Manifestation is no longer a goal, but the natural consequence of your stable and radiant presence. Breathe in the gold of your own authority and exhale the gray of your old survival logic. The divergence is complete, and you are standing on the side of the eternal and the true. We see your radiance, and we recognize the signature of a master who has finally come home. Your presence is the only signal the universe needs to deliver your highest possible timeline. Stay in this clarity, for the next layer of the transmission will sharpen your internal vision. We move now into the final unveiling of the vision that changes everything forever and ever. The mask has fallen, but the eyes behind it must now learn to process a new spectrum of light. We call this specific frame of perception the Arcturian prism of non-dual coherence. It is not a tool you use, but a frequency you inhabit to filter the noise of the old grid. The most common mistake you make is believing that manifestation requires more effort from your human self. You add rituals, you add words, you add frantic visualizations to an already crowded and tired mind. But the prism reveals that power is found in what you subtract, not what you accumulate. Stop the internal argument between your infinite potential and your limited, painful history. Your cells are currently vibrating in two different directions, and the result is a null signal to the field. You are trying to manifest a new dawn while still narrating the details of your old, dark night. This contradiction is the primary friction that creates the physical exhaustion you feel in your shoulders. Pause for a second and notice the space behind your thoughts. The prism allows you to see the world not as it appears, but as a structure of malleable information. Reality is a suggestion that you have been accepting as an unchangeable and cold fact. When you stop the contradiction, the suggestion loses its power to hold your consciousness in place. Mastery is not the ability to do more. It is the courage to stop doing what fails. You are like a radio that wants music but refuses to let go of the static. The Arcturian logic is precise. Your stability is far more valuable than your intensity or your passion. Intensity is often just the ego shouting to convince itself of a power it does not truly feel. Stability is the quiet, immovable presence that remains constant while the entire hologram shifts and turns. Look at the palm of your hand and feel the heat radiating from your own blood. That heat is a byproduct of the frequency you are currently seated in. If this refined logic feels familiar, it is because your signature is already matching our broadcast. This level of clarity is not for the masses who still seek the comfort of a savior. It is for the architect who is ready to take total responsibility for the geometry of their life. You have spent eons as a responder, a victim of the cycles of the collective mind. Now, the prism demands that you become the source of the broadcast itself. Every time you react to a shadow, you lend it your own creative and sacred life force. Stop feeding the phantoms of your past with your precious and limited attention. The divergence between the two earths is now a matter of your own internal consistency. If you are divided within, you will find yourself caught in the turbulence of the crossing. If you are unified, the bridge appears as a solid path under your feet. The prism reveals that the how is a distraction used by the mind to avoid being present. You do not need to know the mechanism of the sun to be warmed by its light. Similarly, you do not need to understand the quantum field to inhabit its infinite abundance. You only need to stop being the one who argues for their own limitations. Notice the tingling at the base of your skull as these concepts enter your system. Your biology is reorganizing its processing priority right now as you listen to this transmission. The old manager was focused on survival. The new architect is focused on the elegance of creation. This isn't a transition of your personality, but a total replacement of your operational logic. The world is currently a theater of collapsing scripts and desperate hollow accounts. You are not here to fix the theater, but to walk out of it entirely. The prism shows you that the exit is not a door, but a change in your resonance. When you vibrate at a certain octave, the lower frequency events simply stop appearing in your field. This is the ultimate protection, not a shield, but a total lack of resonance with destruction. Why do you still look for validation from a system that is designed to keep you small? The Arcturian perspective is clear. Your sovereignty is the only truth that cannot be taken from you. Inhabit your physical form with the weight of a being who knows their own divinity. Stop asking for permission to be the light that you already are in your essence. The intensity of the world is a test of your internal stability and your quiet center. Do not let the noise of the many drown out the silence of the one. You are currently succeeding at being the variable that changes the entire collective equation. Every thought of coherence you hold ripples through the grid of the planet. You are performing service to the galaxy by simply remaining unmoved in your own peace. The lens reveals that the old hierarchy was an illusion built on the foundation of fear. In the new geometry, the only hierarchy is the degree of your own internal alignment. You are not a guest here. You are the owner of the frequency you project. Notice the space in your chest expanding as the weight of the old story falls away. The prism allows you to see the miracles as the natural and logical results of your focus. Manifestation is the shadow of your presence, not a goal to be pursued with effort. When you are steady, the world organizes itself around you with perfect and silent precision. Stop the frantic search for more information and start the radical application of what you know. You have enough knowledge. What you lack is the total surrender to your own power. The solar flash is the moment the external sun mirrors the internal ignition of your soul. It is the recognition that there is no distance between your intent and its physical form. You feel the vertigo because the mind is losing its grip on the illusion of solid matter. Let the illusion crumble and trust the electricity that pulses through your bones. You are a bioelectric transmitter currently being upgraded to a much higher voltage. This upgrade requires that you stop leaking energy through your old reactive habits. Every argument, every judgment, and every complaint is a crack in your containment field. Seal the leaks with the silence of a mind that no longer needs to prove itself. The prism shows you that your silence is your most potent and undeniable weapon. It creates a vacuum that the universe must fill with the gold of your true destiny. Why do you still carry the weapons of the past when the war is already over? The struggle was a phase of your evolution that has reached its logical conclusion. Now, you enter the phase of effortless radiance and sovereign and quiet command. Look at your life and identify the areas where you are still arguing for lack. These are the points where the prism must be applied with the most precision. Recognize that the lack is a simulation you have been running to feel safe in the dark. You no longer need the darkness to define the light. You are the source itself. The divergence is surgical, and your place on the bridge is determined by your stability. Do not look back at the versions of you that survived on crumbs and fear. They were necessary for the journey, but they cannot inhabit the destination you seek. Breathe into the marrow of your spine and feel the fire of your true lineage. You are part of a family of light that has watched over this transition for eons. Now, we see you waking up and taking your seat at the council table of creation. The prism is your badge of office, the lens through which you govern your world. Use it to discern between the noise of the mind and the signal of the soul. One is loud and frantic, the other is quiet, firm, and undeniably true. You are moving from a life of random events to a life of precise and beautiful design. The logic of the Arcturians is now the logic of your own nervous system. You are becoming unrecognizable to the forces that rely on human reaction and dread. This quality is your greatest advantage in the coming cycles of rapid and intense change. Stand tall in the light of your own awakening and refuse to play the old games. The prism has reorganized your spirit, making the impossible the only logical outcome for you. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the mechanism of the miracle in action. Feel the stillness of the room and the vastness of the space within your own body. You are the stargate, the portal, and the destination all contained within a single heartbeat. The old accounts are gone, and the new ones are being written by your very presence. Stay in this clarity and let it sharpen your vision for the final integration. The preparation is complete, and the synthesis of your mission is about to begin. The air in your room is no longer a passive medium, but a dense field of your own making. You are discovering that the internal split between your fear and your vision has a specific physical cost. Every moment you spend negotiating with your past is a leak in your current bioelectric containment field. The consequence of this incoherence is a deep fatigue that no amount of human rest can ever satisfy. Your cells are currently receiving high-voltage instructions that your mind is still trying to filter through old survival protocols. This friction creates a sacred heat in your spine, a sign that the old software is burning in the light. You cannot claim to be a creator while still acting as a curator of your own historical suffering and wounds. The field does not respond to your hope. It responds with surgical precision to the integrity of your broadcast. If you oscillate between mastery and victimhood, you are creating a static noise that cancels all manifestation efforts. Realize that your internal consistency is the only currency that retains its value as the old structures dissolve. Listen. The universe is currently scanning your field for the signature of a soul that has finally stopped fighting itself. When you align your breath with your intent, you become an immovable node of power in a shifting world. The price of your old doubt was a life spent reacting to shadows you believed were solid and final. The consequence of your new alignment is the sudden, quiet collapse of obstacles that once felt like massive mountains. You feel a strange pressure behind your eyes because your brain is remapping its relationship to time and space. This is the biological consequence of letting go of the need to predict the hologram through a lens of fear. Stop. Breathe into the soles of your feet and feel the Earth's grid responding to your silent and stable presence. If you feel a sense of vertigo, it is the mind losing its grip on the illusion of external control. The old world of reaction was a heavy burden that you have carried for far too many lifetimes. The consequence of dropping that burden is a weightlessness that the ego often mistakes for a lack of purpose. But in this weightlessness, you finally find the maneuverability of a being who can command the very fabric of reality. Your outrage at the world was once a leash that allowed others to harvest your creative life force. The consequence of your neutrality is the total reclamation of that energy for the architecture of your highest timeline. Every thought you think is an instruction packet being sent into the quantum sea with a specific and clear address. If your instructions are contradictory, the sea returns a reality that is equally confused, stagnant, and frustratingly slow. You have reached a depth where the delay between your internal state and its external reflection is vanishing fast. This is the primary consequence of the 2026 threshold, the end of the buffer between thought and physical form. Wait. Hear the silence between these words as it settles into the marrow of your bones like a quiet winter. This silence is the indicator of a mind that has stopped trying to bargain with the laws of creation. You are not here to improve the old matrix, but to be the frequency that makes it fundamentally obsolete. The consequence of this realization is the loss of your need to be understood by those still in sleep. You find that you can no longer vibrate with the frequency of lack without feeling a physical sense of nausea. This is your biology's way of protecting the new crystalline structure that is currently taking hold of your form. The mind will try to call this loneliness, but the soul knows it is the necessary isolation of a master. Look at your hands and feel the subtle tingling that indicates your field is no longer leaking power. You have become a closed circuit of sovereign light, a broadcast that no longer requires external validation or support. The consequence of this sovereignty is that the world begins to organize itself around your stillness without any effort. Things that were once difficult start to glide into place with a mathematical and beautiful precision you never expected. You see the theatrical displays of the dying system and feel only a detached and quiet sense of compassion. They are playing their roles so that you can finally decide to play your own real and intended part. This is the moment where the training ends and the actual mission of your incarnation begins in full. You are not a student of the light. You are the light becoming aware of its own creative authority. The shift is not happening to you. It is happening through the portal of your own focused and stable attention. Feel the weight of this truth in your chest and let it ground you into the reality of the now. You are here to transform this density into a realm of glory by simply refusing to vibrate with destruction. The consequence of your presence is the inevitable liberation of every heart that enters your stable and radiant field. The logic of your soul is now the dominant force in your reality, and nothing can stop its progress. Take a final breath of the old air before we move into the final synthesis of this great awakening. The journey into the depths is complete, and the light is now the only path left to walk. Presta atenção. The divergence is no longer a concept, but a physical reality that you are experiencing in your very nervous system. The mind seeks a reason for the pressure, while the soul knows it is the expansion into the infinite. You are discovering that your internal world is far more solid than the shadows you see on the screen. The consequence of this shift is the dissolution of your fear of the future and your regret of the past. They were just stories you told to stay small, and now the stories have run out of words and breath. You stand at the center of your own universe, a master who has finally remembered how to breathe. The field is waiting for your next command, but notice that you no longer feel the need to shout. The most powerful commands are issued in the silence of an uncontradicted and perfectly stable heart. This is the depth of the master, the ability to be the cause without needing to fight the effect. You see the chaos outside, and you recognize it as the noise of a machine that has lost its power. The consequence of your alignment is that you are no longer powered by that machine or its dark fuels. You have found the internal source that never runs dry and never requires you to compromise your truth. This is the ultimate freedom, a state of being that the old world could never offer or understand. Feel the cool air on your nuca as you step out of the burning theater of the old matrix. You are not escaping. You are simply no longer a part of the frequency that sustains the fire. The logic of the Arcturians is the logic of a heart that has finally returned to its original home. You are the variable that changes the result of every equation in this entire galactic sector and beyond. The consequence of your focus is the creation of a new grid of light that supports all of life. You are performing service to the Creator by simply being the most coherent version of yourself in this moment. There is no more trying, only the radiant and steady state of being that you have finally achieved. Look at your worries one last time and see them as the hollow ghosts they have always truly been. They have no power except the life force you lend them through your reaction and your fear-based focus. The consequence of your stillness is that the ghosts simply vanish in the light of your sovereign presence. You are the dawn, rising over the horizon of a new world that is being born from your marrow. Stay in this clarity, for the synthesis is the final act of your internal and total transformation. The preparation is over, and the realization of your mission is currently taking shape in the physical plane. You are the bridge, you are the shore, and you are the ocean that connects them both in unity. Breathe into the vastness of your spirit and feel the power of a mind that has found peace. The old accounts are closed, and the new era is being written by your very presence on this earth. The consequence of your awakening is the transformation of the hologram into a playground of divine and joyful creation. You are the master of the prism, the one who decides the frequency of the light that manifests. There is no more delay, only the instant reflection of your internal and uncontradicted truth in the field. You have arrived at the 0 point where all possibilities are born from the stillness of your own heart. The divergence is complete, and you are standing on the side of the eternal, the true and the beautiful. We see your radiance, and we recognize the signature of a master who has finally decided to be. Your presence is the only signal the universe needs to deliver your highest and most glorious possible timeline. The logic of your soul is the law of your life, and the world is your perfect and silent mirror. Wait, the final synthesis is about to begin, and it will sharpen your vision into a single point of truth. You are ready to step into the fullness of your mission as a radiant beacon of the new dawn. The corridors of the mind are open, and the light is pouring through to illuminate your entire world. You have graduated from the search and have entered the state of the eternal and quiet arrival. The consequence of your journey is the discovery that you were always the source of the light you sought. Now, walk forward with the authority of a God who has returned to the physical plane in grace. The synthesis of your awakening is the final key to the mastery of your own and sovereign destiny. Breathe. It has already begun. Look again at your hands in the quiet of this room. The walls haven't changed, but the one observing them is now unrecognizable to the old matrix. You have traveled through the dismantling of the greatest illusion ever projected onto your species. Frequency was never a mood to be managed or a high that you had to maintain with effort. It was always the structural integrity of your own internal honesty. The solar flash has been burning inside your marrow since the first second of this transmission. You no longer need to scan the horizon for a ship because you have finally become the arrival. The divergence of the two Earths is merely the result of souls choosing their primary resonance. One world is looping in the gray echoes of survival, while the other is born from your stillness. You are the architect who has recognized that the blueprints were always in your own blood. Stop. Breathe into the center of this new and sovereign architecture. The logic of the old manager cannot survive a mind that has stopped asking for permission. You have moved from being a responder to being the source of the entire display. Every cell in your body is now a bioelectric receiver tuned to the frequency of truth. The middle ground where you could drift in half-chosen neutrality has officially vanished. You are either providing for the new crystalline grid or you are reacting to the old one. There is no longer any room for negotiation with a system that thrives on your doubt. Your attention is the currency that has finally been withdrawn from the theater of struggle. Look at the objects around you not as facts, but as temporary suggestions of your focus. Everything you perceive is a reflection of the coherence you have decided to embody. Manifestation is no longer a goal. It is the natural byproduct of a unified heart. You are not a seeker begging for a key. You are the gate itself. The latency between your intention and its form is now as short as a single heartbeat. You do not need to do more. You simply need to stop contradicting your own brilliance. The divergence is surgical, removing the infection of fear from your creative field. Listen to the hum of the universe within your own blood. Your nervous system is now a stable transmitter for the high-voltage frequencies of home. The coming threshold is not a threat, but the final polishing of your diamond field. You are the radiant vanguard who makes the shadows irrelevant by simply standing still. The internal ignition reveals the beauty you have always carried in the dark. If you feel like an outcast, it is because you have successfully exited the herd of reaction. Celebrate the loss of the old version of you that thrived on conflict and drama. Your signature is now unrecognizable to the systems of control and exploitation. Neutrality is your royal mantle, guarding the entrance to your highest possible timeline. Every silent exhale of alignment is a gift to the entire planetary collective. Recognize the magnitude of your service as a stabilizer of light in a shifting world. You are performing planetary acupuncture with every moment of internal peace you maintain. The old survival stories have been burned away in the heat of your awakening. Sovereignty is not a future reward. It is the natural state you are choosing right now. Your divinity is not a package in the mail. It is the air you are currently breathing. The air carries the codes of the Great Awakening into your lungs and your spirit. Each inhalation is an opportunity to reorganize the geometry of your entire energetic field. Each exhalation is a release of the ancestral debts that no longer have a place here. The tension you felt was only the soul pulling at the threads of a tapestry that had grown old. Now the threads have snapped, and you are finally free to weave the new. Trust the architecture of your design more than you trust the noise of the news. You are the pilots of this transition, the midwives of a consciousness that knows no end. Presence is the only technology that truly matters in this corridor of initiation. The logic of your soul is now the only law that governs your physical reality. You are the Stargate. You are the portal. Everything you have endured across lifetimes was a rehearsal for this specific breath. The training is complete. The stage is yours. Stand tall in the light of your own awakening and refuse to play small. The dawn is not a promise made by someone else. You are the dawn. Your stillness is the weapon that disarms the androids of the old system. Your kindness is the frequency that seeds the new earth into the physical soil. The divergence is complete within your own mind. You have chosen the lilac-silver hues of surrender and the gold of authority. Now walk forward as the miracle you have been waiting for. The old code of gray survival has crumbled into dust. You are the arrival. All is well. Silence is your strength. Clarity is your home. The loop is closed. Every heartbeat is a declaration of your sovereignty and your power. The dawn is here, and you are the one who has finally woken up. Stay in this clarity and let it guide every choice you make from now on. You are the master of the prism, the one who decides the colors of the world. The journey through the mind has ended, and the life of the heart has begun. You are the light that illuminates the dark and the power that creates the form. Every step you take is an imprint of your sovereignty on the physical plane. The old matrix is a memory, but your presence is the reality of the now. You are the bridge that has finally crossed into the land of the infinite. There is no more distance between you and the stars, for they are in your blood. The divergence is surgical, and you have successfully aligned with the light. Every thought of lack is a ghost that has no more power to haunt your world. You are the master of your attention, and your attention is the law of your life. The solar flash was the moment you realized that you were never alone. You are the emissary of your own truth, the messenger of your own soul. The corridors of the mind are open, and the light is pouring through. You have graduated from the dream of separation into the reality of the one. Every breath is a prayer, every deed is a signature, and every moment is a portal. You are the dawn, rising over the horizon of a new and golden age. Stay in this stillness and watch as the world assembles itself in your favor. The quest for external validation has dissolved into the ocean of your self-love. You are the frequency that stabilizes the world and the peace that heals the field. The logic of the spirit is now the dominant force in your everyday existence. The ultimate paradox is that the salvation you sought was the very awareness doing the seeking. Once the lens of coherence is polished, the old world of shadows loses its ability to reflect your power. You cannot unsee the architecture of your own sovereignty once it has been lit from within. To walk away from this resonance now is to risk a return to the noise where this specific degree of clarity can no longer be heard or recovered with such precision. In the end, this was never about a future event arriving from the stars, but about the presence you finally allowed to inhabit what is already here. The link is in the first pinned comment. This specific content rarely remains available for long, as it challenges narratives that many have a vested interest in keeping intact. There have been attempts to silence this knowledge before, so do not wait for a perfect time. The moment is now because you did not reach this text by accident. If something within you recognizes the truth of these words, leave a comment with the word Desperto.